Hello, my amazing developers. So in the previous video, we covered how to add shadows to our action button. Then we looked at how to animate in and out for the request authorization views. Then we updated same request authorization views for the error state when the user permission is denied. Then we updated launch view controller to have a single method to load the next request authorization view. And then we also looked at how to open settings when the user permission was denied. And then finally, we created a request authorization view for requesting microphone permission. In today's video, we will cover how to create extensions that will help us reduce code and at the same time add extra functionality to our views. And then we will create view to request photo library permission. And finally, we will create capture view controller that will be the next loading view controller once all the permissions are satisfied from the launch view controller. So let's get started. So I have Xcode open up over here from the same project which we were working on in the previous video. And now we are going to create a request photo library authorization view. So let's add that. Under the views request authorization group, I'm going to create a new group called photo library and create a new file, Cocoa Touch, subclass of UI view, request photo library authorization view. I'm going to copy this, request photo library authorization view, click next and click create. Get rid of this code. At the same time, I'm going to click back again on photo library, create a new file, and this time select view. Click next, paste in our file name, click create. Good, we have our view. I'm going to hide that bottom console area, zoom out a bit, and let's add our view. So like before, I'm going to open up library, have an image view, two labels, and an action button. So like before, I'm going to select the title label, specify the title that we need, photo library authorization, going to give it a font style of title 1, and going to give it a leading and trailing constraint of 20 and 20, because last time we saw the microphone authorization title was not enough when we updated the message, when we updated the title with denied permission. So let's add the constraints. Number of lines 0, center align, and I'm going to say vertically center in the container. Next, I'm going to add the image, Here I'm going to say photo. Tint color, light gray color, width and height constraint of 60 as well as 60, and align it to the bottom with a good space of 30, and say center horizontally. Next, we are going to update the message label. We require photo library authorization to provide you best experience. Center align the text, number of lines to 0. apply the leading and trailing constraints, top space to the title label of 16, and then we're going to update the color of the text to dark gray. Next, we are going to update the action button. Say allow as the text. Text color, I need to update the background color, and then I'm going to update the text color, or you can also do the tint color. Let's apply the tint color as white. Do the width and height, width of 80, height of 60, top space to the message label of good space of 30, and also center horizontally. Next, I'm going to update the view labels by clicking the view, going to the proper area, selecting the photo image view, and adding the label, selecting the title, the title label, message, having the label of message label, allow, action button. Next, let's add the code for initializing the view. In its Swift file of the view, let's hide the bar so we have more space. I'm going to start with AVOutlet, like before. And I'm going to override the init with frame, calling the super init, as well as override the init with quarter, pass in the quarter, and have a private custom init method that we are going to call in both of these overridden initializers. I'm going to load the nib by the bundle. Here I need the nib name, string describing self.self, nib name owner is self, options is nib. I'm going to add subview, content view to the parent view. Going to set content views frame to the bounds of the parent view, and content view auto resizing mask to flexible width and flexible height. While we are here, let's add the IV outlets for other views. Photo image view of type UI image view, and then we need IV outlet weak var title label. We need also IV outlet for the message label. We need finally the action button of type UI button, and also I need the width constraint like last time for the action button. Width constraint of type NSLayout constraint. Now we can add the tap event for the action button. IV action function, action button handler, button with type UI button, and we need to have now a delegate method to notify the implementing class whether this action button was tapped. So let's have a delegate now. Protocol, I'm going to copy the same name and add delegate at the end and make sure it's of type class. Have a function, request photo library tabbed. I'm going to have a property of delegate over here. Request photo library authorization view delegate, and in the action button handler, I'm going to call the delegate method. Next, let's connect the IB outlets and the method in the nib file. So let's go to the nib file, click on the file owner, expanded, make some space over here, and specify the class name. Request photo library authorization view as the file owner. Go to the connections, select the content view as the parent view, expand the view area. Next, let's add the action button connection, message label. Then I have the title label. I have the photo image view, and then the connection for the action button handler. When I tap on the touch up inside event, I need that. Next, we need to have the width constraint of the action button. So let's select the action button, go to the sizes, select the width constraint, double click here, go to the connections, new referencing outlet, select it and point it to the file owner and select the action button width constraint. Next, let's add the rest of the code for photo library authorization view. Let's go back to its Swift file, hide the bar to make some extra space, and we need to add extra functionality over here. So let's have a look on the existing request authorization view like we have done already for camera. So as you guys can see, I have some extra methods over here below the action button. That is for animate in, animate out, and configure for error state. As well as I have a private extension on the view where I have 3 extra methods. So now would be a good time to create extensions of these 3 functions that we can add extra functionality to our views and get rid of them from here, as well as the microphone authorization view from here as well, and have a consolidated place where we can change the function once and everywhere the functionality will be updated. So let's create an extension for the shadow. So for that, I'm going to click the root group and create a new group called extensions. Also going to create a new file with type Swift file and I'm going to name it UI plus add shadow. Now this specific naming convention where we have UI view plus add shadow, I'm using this since Objective-C time where it tells us that we are going to add shadow functionality as an extra method on UI view. So let's update our code. Have an extension of UI view where I'm going to call it as add shadow. Here we need to say layer, shadow color as UI color, black color, CG color, shadow radius as 10, shadow opacity as 0.3. I will say masks to bounds true. I will set the shadow offset to CG size of width and height 5 and 10. So it's slightly towards right and slightly down. Going to also have layer.corner radius set to 4. So now this functionality, this specific code, it's same as the other ones. So let's update our camera authorization view to get rid of the old code, which is over here, and instead use our newly created extension. So for that, I'm going to just say action button dot add shadow. Get rid of all this code. That's it. Makes it simple and clean. Let's do the same for microphone authorization view. Action button dot add shadow. Get rid of this code. Similarly, for our newly created photo library, let's click the Swift file, add ourselves a private extension, photo library authorization view, add action button shadow. Here I'm going to say action button add shadow, and make sure we call this code in our custom init like the other views. We have done already that. Next, let's add extensions for our animate in and animate out methods. So head over to request camera authorization view, and you guys can see we have two methods over here, animate in and animate out. I'm going to copy them. Like before, click on extensions, add a new file, select Swift file, say next. I'm going to say UI view plus animation. Like before, I'm going to say import UI kit, extension over UI view, paste the functions, and this time I'm going to say I don't need to pass view as a parameter. What I'll be calling is this. I'll be saying self dot let's say I have message label dot animate in view. I'm going to simply only call the delay with 0.15 as my function as my parameter. So we don't need to have the view parameter over here. So what I'm going to do is get rid of the view parameter, and instead we are updating the properties on our self. Here, since we are in the block or closure, you can call it, we need to say self.alpha and similarly self.transform. Same way for the animate out views, get rid of the view and replace the view with self. That's it. Let's go back to our camera authorization view and get rid of these two methods. And instead of animate out view, we can say view.animate out. Get rid of the method. And same way for the animate in, rather we should say view.animate in. Let's build. Perfect. We need to also do the same for the microphone. Go to the microphone authorization view, get rid of these two methods from here, and I'm going to call view.animate out. Same way for view.animate in. That's it. So now let's go back to our request photo library authorization view and add the rest of the methods here. For that, I'm going to go to request camera and copy these methods. Go back to the photo library, paste them here. And same way like we did before, for camera image view, I need to change it to photo image view here as well. And in the title label, I'm going to say photo library authorization was denied and open settings width constraint of 130. All looks fine. Next, we need to create controller to request the actual permission for photo library from the user. So let's do that. Head over to the controllers. Under the request authorization, create a new group called photo library and create a new file with the type Swift, request photo library authorization controller.swift. So I'm going to take an existing code, copy it for the microphone permission, and paste it in the request photo library. Now for photo library, I'm going to rename everything from microphone to photo library. Photo library here as well. Photo library authorization status, request photo library authorization controller, and the method name is request photo library authorization. And in the completion handler, it should be the photo library authorization. Let's wait for this code and update the method names over here first. Get photo library authorization status, and here return photo library authorization status. So now we need to import photos and call our method for ph photo library dot request authorization. Here it's going to give us status. It's not same like AV capture device where we got granted as a Boolean variable. So for status, we need to do switch status, and what we need is for authorized only. So we can simplify the switch. We can say guard status equals authorized else. So I'm going to do the completion handler over here, say unauthorized, and return from here. And if the status was authorized for the photo library, I need to complete with granted state. And like before, I know this piece of code already runs in a background thread. So let's come back to the main thread and return the response for the completion handler. So for that, I'm going to go to dispatch queue, main async, take our code, paste it here. That's done for the photo library. Same way, we need to get rid of this code as well because we don't need this. And same way, we need to return the status for the photo library. PH photo library authorization status. That is our status. In case of authorized, say granted, not determined, not requested, and default unauthorized. Same like before. Next, let's add our code to request photo library permission into our launch view controller. So let's head to launch view controller, and same way like we did before, I'm going to have one more private var over here, and this time I'm going to say request photo library authorization, request photo library authorization view. Similarly, I'm going to have one more status property over here for photo library authorization status, request photo library authorization, and get the status for photo library. Same way, I need to call the same function like we implemented last time for setting up the next authorization request. Come down over here, we need to have the code for photo library, but let's hold on to this. First, we need to make sure we have these two methods for the photo library. Let's copy them, paste it here, and rename our methods for photo library authorization view, request photo library authorization view, and here I'm going to have photo library authorization view, status. In case it's unauthorized, we need to configure for the error state, else return. And this specific set of code, I'm going to do a mass rename by holding down the command key, click on it, edit all in scope, and you can do control backspace to get rid of the whole word and say request photo library authorization view. Also make sure to rename this here, photo library authorization view, and I need to check on the status for photo library. Now it's complaining about the delegate, so let's implement that. I'm going to copy this specific code, paste it here, and rename for the microphone to photo library authorization view delegate, and the method name for photo library is request photo library authorization tapped, and for the microphone authorization status, instead it's photo library authorization status. And now we're going to check on the authorization controller of photo library authorization controller, request photo library authorization, update the property for photo library authorization status when we get the granted or denied update from the user. And in the status, in case to check on the unauthorized, let's check on the photo library authorization status. Let's continue with our code. Here I'm going to say request photo library authorization view. Same thing over here. And for the remove method, let's remove this microphone name, replace it with photo library here as well. Animate out views, request photo library authorization view to set request photo library authorization view to nil, and continue setting up the next authorization view request. Next, let's add the code for continuing with the permissions and loading the photo library request. So here we have the setup view for next authorization request. I'm going to grab this piece of code, copy it, paste it over here, and check on the photo library authorization status if it is granted. Otherwise, we need to set up the view for photo library authorization view. In case it's granted, let's check if the view is set of photo library authorization view, and remove the photo library authorization view. And if we can finally update the print statement by saying show capture view controller. That means we are done with requesting permissions and we should proceed to the next view controller. Next, let's build and run our app and see whether this works or not. I'm going to stop the app. I'm going to build it. Oh, we have some errors. Launch view controller does not confirm. Okay, sorry, it was a different name. Request photo library. I'm going to check on the photo library. What did I rename over there? Okay, I'm following this standard, request microphone authorization tapped. Going to have its same name over here, request photo library authorization tapped. Let's go back to our launch view controller and delete this code, which Xcode has helped us, but we don't need it. Let's build again. Okay, something else is failing. Request photo, oh, we need to update the method name for the action button. So we need to say request photo library authorization tapped. Build it again. Build succeeded. Let's run the app. I'm going to stop the app and start it fresh by deleting the app. Run the app again. Camera authorization, click allow, click OK. Microphone authorization, click allow. Okay. Photo library authorization, going to click allow, and we get a crash. Same like before, we need to update the info.plist with the privacy message requesting photo library permission from the user. So let's do that. Stop the app, go to the info.plist, expand the area, add a new property, scroll all the way down to privacy, photo library usage. Where is that? Here. Photo library usage description, and type in yourself a message. This app requires photo library. You should name it something else. I'm just keeping it small for the demo sake. Go back to our app and let's run. Photo library authorization. We require photo library authorization to provide you best experience. Okay, click allow, click OK. Perfect. It followed through the whole requesting permission state and ended up with show capture view controller print message, which we entered over here. Next, we need to do a simple test where we grant the camera permission, microphone permission, but don't allow the photo library, and check whether our view is in error condition or not. So let's go ahead and do that. Going to delete the application, run the app. For camera authorization, I'm going to say allow, hit OK. Microphone permission, allow, hit OK. But for photo library authorization, I'm going to say don't allow. And we can confirm we are in error state. And while we are here, we can also confirm whether open settings is also working. That's good. Let's head back to the application and do a small test also for stopping and running the app also, that we get good. We get ourselves the denied message. Next, we need to create capture view controller that gets loaded when all the permissions are satisfied from the user. So let's go ahead and do that by going to view controllers group, say new group, going to name it capture, right clicking on it, create a new file, Cocoa Touch of subclass UI view controller, and I'm going to name it capture view controller. Also, I'll be needing an IP file, say next, create. Let's clean up some code over here that we don't need. So now we need to load the capture view controller in our launch view controller in this place. So for that, I follow a practice of having a single file for loading up all the view controllers, so it's all tucked in one place. So I'm going to create that file and I call it app setup. So let's go ahead and do that by going to the root group, right clicking, new file, and this time Swift file, next app setup.swift. Going to import UIKit class app setup. I'm going to have static method load capture view controller. So what I need now is to have capture view controller initialized over here by opening up capture view controller, saying nib name. I need to have a nib name. Let's do that. Let's have a variable for nib name and string describing. This time it should be capture view controller.self, and this is the nickname, and bundle is bundle.main. So now I need to have a window variable over here that I'm going to specify its root view controller. So let's add the code to grab the window. I'm going to have a static var, I'm going to name it key window of type UI window, and I'm going to return UI application shared windows filter, first, where the first argument or the first object, you can say it, is key window. Here, let's grab the window variable by saying self.keyWindow. Window.rootViewController is the capture view controller, and don't forget to set make key and visible on the window. So let's call this method now in our launch view controller. Here, I'm going to say app setup dot load capture view controller. Save it, run the app. We need to clear the application. Say allow for all the permissions. Now we need to check whether capture view controller is loaded or not. So I'm going to stop the app and go to the capture view controller like we did last time. I'm going to say view.background color to something really evident, like light gray color this time. And let's run the application. So we can see we don't get the light gray color. This is because I've already gone through the code and I noticed there was a problem with that. What happens, this is a race condition that our window was not initialized as of the scene delegate, but the view controller was loaded first. So let's go ahead and fix that by calling our function in the next run loop. We can do that by going to the launch view controller and specify dispatch queue.main.async. Just have our function over here and run the application one more time. Perfect. This is the light gray color for the capture view controller. We can confirm it's working fine. In the next video, we can cover how to set up the video layer from the camera in our capture view controller. With that, we conclude today's video. Stay tuned to the channel for amazing content. If you like the video, hit like. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you want me to cover any extra material in future, mention it in the comments. I'll be covering in future videos. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.